And remember, when we're talking about mystical union, it's not about reaching out and trying to find God somewhere, but it's about recognizing that it's already within us all the time. We've never been separated from it. Well, this is a fifth Sunday, and on fifth Sundays, I like to spend more time talking about the practice than focusing on the message. So we're going to do a little practice here today. We're going to do an experiential practice on feeling that unity, on feeling that oneness with Spirit. The talk title today is Living as One. And so we're inviting you into that experience of what does it mean to actually live as one, to be so interconnected with Spirit and with each other that it's palpable and tangible feeling. You know, there is a deeper rhythm beneath the surface of our life. If we take the time to listen to it, we can find it and we can use it and we can tap into it and we can see how we are connected to each other in a more profound way. You know, this idea of unity is spread throughout all of the writings of Ernest Holmes, but I think he most profoundly talks about it in his Declaration of Principles, which he wrote in 1927 for the Science of Mind magazine. And so the first Declaration of Principles actually talks about this idea of unity. The statement is, we believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, self-existent cause. That one manifests itself in, through, and as all creation, but it's not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of the living Spirit. It is the body of God. Everything is God. There is no place where God looks out and says, I wonder what that is. God only recognizes itself when it looks out. There is nothing inside of us that is not a part of that universal presence, that consciousness, that thing that we call God or Spirit or the divine, whatever name you prefer to use for it. We are so intricately connected to Spirit at all times, but we've lost sight of that. We fail to recognize that. And so there are things that we can do to help us remember that truth, remember that presence that is always there and available to us. One of the things that I studied when I was in ministerial school was Buddhism. And there's a concept in Mahayana Buddhism that's called Indra's net. Now, Indra's net looks something like this. Indra's net is this vast web of interconnected orbs, or jewels, as they call it in Buddhism, these jewels that are multifaceted, that reflect each other, that reflect everything about it, and that they are so connected together that whatever happens in one spot is felt in another spot. This comes from that idea that we are completely interconnected, and that this vast universe exists in this cosmology of this interconnected web. And each one of us is an individual jewel on that net. And so as that individual jewel, we are connected to every other jewel on the net through those little tendrils of webs of connection that we have there. Each jewel reflects all the other jewels too. And each reflection of all the others reflects endlessly. It's kind of like a prism or a mirror. When you look in it and you see it and it goes on and on and on and on, it's constantly reflecting everything around it. The idea of Indra's net is that absolutely nothing exists separately. Nothing exists without this interconnection, and that every jewel affects the other jewels. So you can just imagine if you were to touch the jewel on one side of the net, the ripples will be coming out, and the jewels on the other side of the net are going to feel that. They're going to feel that whatever happened to the one is felt at the others. So every jewel affects every other jewel, and each jewel contains a reflection of the whole. This is a vision of the reality of our interconnectedness. This idea that we are part of this wondrous web of life. And so in this understanding that we have here, that there's no thought, no action, no act of kindness, no hatred, no healing, no wounds exist in isolation. Everything happens to everyone in this web. Sometimes it's felt subtly, and sometimes you're right next to it and you can really feel the vibrations of that thing that's happened coming off of a person. You've ever walked into a room and felt the energy in it and like, oh, something is either wonderful here or something's not right. I'm not really sure which one, but I'm on my guard here because I can feel it. The energy of it is palpable. But the idea of this really reinforces the fact that we belong to each other. We belong to each other in this world. We help shape each other. What happens in our life shapes the lives of others around us. And we reflect each other. Sometimes that's the good news and sometimes not so good. There are times when I don't want to be a reflection of what I'm seeing out there, and there are other times that I'm like, hey, yeah, I'll bring that on. But there are times when it's like, this is not a reflection of me in any way. But if I examine myself deeply, I can see that. And so I think that one of the greatest spiritual awakenings that we can have is that the realization that we have never, ever been separate, and that everything that we do, everything that we are, everything that we experience is happening to the whole, not to us individually, but to the whole in its entirety. We are never separate, and we are never disconnected from this vast web of jewels that exist in this universe that we're in. And when anything happens to one jewel, everyone is touched by it. So let's begin by imagining ourselves as those jewels connected together in this vast web. Joe's going to turn the lights down here. I invite you to close your eyes for this part. It's going to be a little lengthy here. We're going to go through some questions and some contemplations and just begin to get that experience of being one of these interconnected jewels on this web. And remember, keep it in your mind that whatever happens at one point in this web of jewels, whatever happens to one, happens to all. And so let's begin by bringing up an idea of our world right now. So I was just on Facebook, and one of my cousins has just experienced the birth of her great-granddaughter. And I thought to myself, how wonderful. And I could feel the joy of that. So think about that. Think about the birth of a child. How that affects you, whether it's your child or someone else's child. The pure joy that comes with the possibility of this new life. Imagine holding that baby, smelling it. Most of the times we really love the smell of babies. Cuddling with it up against your neck. Just imagine that, feel that. Make that palpable within you. This is something we can all rejoice in. We've all had the experience of new babies at one time in our life. This morning, another friend of mine posted that her father just passed away. The ripe old age of 93. A life well lived. A life rich with children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. With meaningful work. With community connections. We've all felt that experience of loss from a loved one, from a cherished friend or family member. Bring to mind that feeling. The feeling of sadness mixed with the delight of a life well lived. The feeling of loss mixed in with the remembrance of all of the wonderful times spent together. Bring to mind something that you have recently celebrated. Maybe it was a birthday or a retirement, an anniversary, or just a day where you gathered with friends. Remember the feeling of being connected with other people. Remember the delight in the experiences you were having. Bring to mind a moment of profound beauty. Maybe you're standing at the edge of the continent, looking out at the ocean, watching the waves crash against it. Or in a beautiful forest, looking upward at the tall trees and that sunlight drifting through them. Perhaps you're in your garden with your flowers. Or your life's companions. The puppies and the kittens and the wonderful things that delight you so. Providing that unconditional love. That moment of deep peace. Now let your mind drift to other places in our world where things are not quite so peaceful right now. Perhaps you automatically go to the Middle East and experience the conflict, the fear, the anger, the devastation of bombs dropping, the worry, the doubt, the mistrust. We may not have experienced war directly, but we can experience that anger, that fear, that worry about the future. Now bring to mind someone in your life who has shaped you into the person that you are today. Perhaps it's a parent or a grandparent, or a friend or a mentor. Someone who has guided you and brought you to be the person that you are right now. Bring to mind your feelings for this person. Make it palpable and real. Remember how they are the person who reflected back to you your greatest attributes. Your strengths, your love. Now recall a loss that has transformed you. Perhaps it was the loss of a relationship or a job, the loss of a person through death or through their leaving, that has transformed you and changed you into the person that you are today. Imagine that person. Bring them to your mind. Feel their presence there with you. And now bring to mind a moment of heartbreak. A moment where what you wanted so deeply was no longer possible. We've all experienced it in one way or another. The loss of a relationship, the loss of a friend, the loss through death, the loss through leaving. Can you sense that this has all been moving through each one of us? Quietly, sometimes gently, sometimes violently, moving through us throughout our entire lives. We are connected by these common threads of experiences. And our experiences have shaped who we are. And so how are these experiences being reflected from you to these other jewels on the net? And how has some other jewel's experience been reflected back on you? How have you been touched by the experiences of others? Those you know, those you don't know. Those you've never met but have only heard of. How have their experiences shaped who you are today? And how has the healing of someone else helped you heal yourself? Bring to mind an act of compassion that you have either participated in or received for yourself. An act of generosity, an act of forgiveness, A moment where you softened. And could be there with others. Every act of compassion, every act of generosity, every time forgiveness is given, the net is strengthened. The connection between the jewels becomes stronger. And the ripple effect becomes greater and greater. Where in your life have you been acting as though you were separate from life itself, from the others around you? Where in your life have you felt isolated and detached? What if when you felt like these things were disconnected in your life, that it has actually been forming a new attachment, a new connection, a new link between another jewel on the web? And how would your life be different if you could understand that the connection to the presence that you have been seeking has been there all along? It has never left you. None of the experiences in our lives are ever wasted. Each one leads us to that place where we are right now. Each one allows us to see the reflection of it coming back to us. And each connection deepens our understanding of the one. Taking a nice deep breath. Gently bring yourself back to your body. Notice it touching the chair beneath you. Might wiggle around a little bit, waking up your cells. So I'm going to ask Joe to turn the lights up here, so he's going to do it slowly. And I invite you to stand. Now I want you to turn around and look at each other. And I want you to see what is being reflected back to you from the others in this community. What is it that you see? What is it you're feeling? Oh my God. What do you see being reflected back to you? But simply life, simply that presence, simply that connection. You know, we're fortunate in a community like this, where a lot of us think somewhat similarly. And we can see those ideas being reflected back to us. We can feel it in the hugs before the service starts. We can feel it as we have fellowship together afterwards. You can sit down. There is a beauty that is always there within us. It's always there. We are always connected. If we can tune ourselves into feeling those ripple effects, I think we can begin to create that world that is a place of peace and love and joy, just like you feel here in this community. Just like you feel as you walk through these doors and greet the people around you and get that hug or that handshake or that greeting, that acknowledgement that I see you, that you are one with me, that you and I are part of this interconnected net, and that what happens within me is reflected back to me through the eyes of everyone around me. The master teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, says we are here to awaken from the illusion of separateness. We are here to awaken from that illusion that we have ever been apart from one another. We are here to remember that we are that place where God shows up. And to remember it more and more and more frequently as we move about our day. I believe truly that that is our reason for being here, is to remember our oneness, to remember our connection, and to remember that there is no separation, that it's only just an illusion. All right, let's take this into prayer. I invite our practitioners to stand and surround us, holding us in prayer throughout the week. If you're ever in need of prayer, please go to our website or call one of the practitioners that are listed on our website for your prayer request. We will hold you in prayer throughout the week and beyond. Remember, prayer starts when you ask. So I invite you to just close your eyes gently and let yourself sink into the chair. And so we simply begin by recognizing the presence of the One, God, the Creator, the living Spirit Almighty. That One is manifesting itself in, through, and as all. Each one of us, all creation, all energy, all action, all one. Because I know that there is only one, I know that I am a part of it. That dynamic, creative love intelligence resides right at the heart of my being. It brought me to this moment. It created me for this purpose. It is the truth of who I am now and always. And as I know this is my truth, I know it is your truth as well. For each one of us is that perfect and unique emanation of this love, this beauty, this power and presence. And so knowing this truth, I speak my word. I know that each one of us is connected to that source of all. I know that each one of us is linked to every other form of creation. That nothing exists in isolation. That the energy that flows through my veins is the energy that flows through yours. It is the same energy, the same presence in the rocks and the trees, all of the beautiful creatures of this world. I know that this incredible love intelligence is manifesting itself throughout life, continuously unfolding for the highest and greatest good of all. I know that each one of us is uniquely designed for the role that we play here today. And that role is to be the place where God shows up. And so I just give great thanks for this knowing. I'm so grateful to feel it, to see it operating, to know it is the truth of all. And I release this word into the law, into the creative mind that always says yes, that never feels any lack or limitation, is always, always unfolding perfectly. I let it go and I let it be. And together we say, and so it is.